can come forward to the seats where the palace functionaries were seated. Yes. Thank you. Please, can we resume our seats? Please.
This is still our prayer. This is still our...
Cities fulfill their vacancies are not victims of just and logistic costs. There is later.
In 2 years.
They will produce, come and shoot most of their home.
Godwin Nogegase Obaseki with his formidable team. Can we please another round of applause for His Excellency? As already enumerated by His Excellency, Edo is a land of rich culture. And we are proud to have in our midst a very rare phenomenon. The Oba of Benin hardly leaves his palace. But our special guest of honor, His Royal Majesty, the 40th Oba of Benin, Omonobanedo Ukwakolopolo Oba Ewa the second Ogidiga, CFR, is physically present here. Oba Tokbe. And so our culture is unique. We're going to have the traditional breaking of kola nuts. On behalf of the Edo State government, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Olowole Idebudia Iyamo, will make the bowl of kola nuts and the hot drinks available. And
say that we have a workforce civil service state by the time we came in.
Of the work environment. Public servants are now
Country. That is, and see, used to be the in a new town, but the part ratio, efforts and our emphasis and our money is being concentrated in primary healthcare. We are on our way to make sure that every political ward has a minimum of one well-equipped primary healthcare facility in Edo State. The issue with primary healthcare is not the buildings, it's training the staff, the workers, the the nurses to be there and what to do when patients come in. That is what our emphasis is on. So we've rebuilt the School of Nursing and we've started work on rebuilding the School of Health Technology so that we can train the middle level manpower which is required to drive the reforms in this sector. Healthcare is not cheap. We all know. Somebody needs to pay. In the past, we've deceived ourselves to say government will pay. And we know that government is not the largest provider in the states today. The private sector is the largest provider. So what we've done is to set up a health insurance scheme which is compulsory for all citizens of Edo, such that when you go to receive care, and I've heard from people who have done so, what you pay is minimal or nothing at all for the care you receive from our health centers, either primary or the hospitals. We thank our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who came with a huge medical team last year and performed almost 10,000, had almost 10,000 encounters with our citizens and provided a lot of support and care. That is an attempt to see how we can reverse brain drain in the area of healthcare. Our strategy is spend most of our money on primary healthcare and then partner with the private sector to build secondary and tertiary care. That's what we've done with Benin Specialist Hospital. We're rebuilding Stella Obasanjo hospital. Once we finish, we will partner with people in the private sector to manage the hospital. We are building a medical city around Stella Obasanjo because we have about 30 hectares of land there. And we're making it available for people to come and set up their medical practices. We've started by building Stella Obasanjo. We want to thank the federal government through the Federal Minister of Health for accepting to give us an orthopedic hospital there. And we're getting proposals on an ongoing basis to set up cardiology hospitals, a hospital for cardiology, a hospital for oncology, and so that we can have a complete medical city. The advantage we have is that hospital, or our hospitals today, whether it's specialist or the Stella Obasanjo, is on what we call the power corridor. So the IPP feeds these hospitals, and so you don't have to run generators when you are performing operations. Edo is about sports. We know what our late fathers, Governor Samuel Ogbemudia, did with sports, and we're reenacting it. Apart from rebuilding the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium and about 20 other mini stadia across the state, we're working hard with the Ministry of Education to make sure we catch our young people early in terms of sports. So it is now compulsory. Sports is now compulsory in most of our schools. I want to thank the Ministry of Education for ensuring that every school undertakes inter-house sports. And through that process, we're hoping that we begin to identify young talents at a very young age. But we are moving our whole sporting agenda towards the private sector by forming associations. I want to thank the managing partner of PwC, Mr. Uyi Akpata, I'm not sure he's here, for what he has done with cricket in Edo State. Today, Edo is the cricket hub, the emerging cricket hub in Nigeria, and it's now recognized internationally. For security, we want to thank the citizens of Edo. We want to thank our royal father, Oba of Benin. The communities have been amazing. We have keyed into the traditional security infrastructure which we inherited from our empire days, and it is working because all communities today now have part of the Edo State vigilante networks. We're providing them logistics and support, communication devices, and you will all agree with me that crime is not what it used to be. From the data we have, because we track crime data on a daily basis, we've seen the incidence of cultism come down drastically from 2021. We've seen the incidence of armed robbery. We're still managing to bring down the incidence of kidnapping. It's usually high at this time of the year during the dry season, but thanks to our new Commissioner of Police, the strategies are in place and we will not have the kind of situations we've had in the past. The mega agenda is one in which we hope to rebuild our state. We will continue to work on our infrastructure. We'll continue to build roads. We'll continue to attract investors to come and invest in electricity. Edo is the only state in Nigeria today that has now created its own electricity law, because we found that there's nothing in the Constitution which stops us from having our own electricity law in Edo State. So we now have an electricity law in Edo State which now gives us the authority, the power to grant licenses to people who want to come and generate electricity in Edo or want to come and distribute electricity in Edo. In that way, we're creating an electricity market, which I'm hoping Dr. Wa will talk about during his speech. Edo's aim is to be the first smart state in Nigeria, and we have gone a long way towards achieving that. Today, we have about 1,200 kilometers of fiber optics laid across the state, or being laid across the state. In Benin City alone, we have about 400 kilometers of fiber in this city. So the thing now is we have the infrastructure. We will now have to stimulate our citizens and businesses to use. All our local governments before the end of next year will be connected by fiber. And we want to thank our partners. We haven't put in all the money. We have just, in some cases, allowed them free right of way so that they can lay the fiber and allow to use the fiber. Edo is a natural transportation hub. Like I said, from the west, you have expressways coming in. From the east, you have expressways going out. To the south-south, you have expressways. To the north, by the grace of God, that expressway will be constructed. So we are a hub, a transport hub. But until we came, we've never had a transport policy in Edo State. So transportation has always been managed by the touts and agberos. We are the first government to now say, we must have a clear transportation policy. You just can't buy your bus and put on the road and do what you like. We will have to regulate how it works. And that the roads should be built as a result of the requirements of transport. Not that you have roads being built without understanding the transport requirement of the people. That is the mistake we've always made in Nigeria. In Edo, we're going to reverse that because we've created a transport authority which regulates transportation and will advise on what we need to do in terms of building roads. We have started with the Central Park. There's no Central Park. We're expanding that. We have to build about 4 parks around the city because part of the problems with traffic is that we have motor parks everywhere that are unregulated and they pick up passengers and obstruct traffic. That will have to be corrected because we're going to build parks and we're going to encourage private people to manage those parks with us so that people can have decent terminals or the terminal for moving passengers. And that way it also helps us with security. We are building 2 trailer parks. The funding is being raised now. We've gotten interest from some large transporters in the country. One is going to be in Aho by the bypass, and one is going to be in Abiele in Isako West. We cannot continue with the kind of disorder we have at our junctions. If you look at those pictures, that is 3rd Junction, on Sakoba Road. We are going to be working with the transport unions, and from first quarter next year, the picture you see on the right will be what our junctions will look like. I've had a lot of pressure. People are saying, oh, build flyovers, build flyovers. I said, we don't need flyovers in Edo. We don't need flyovers in Benin City because this has been a very well-planned city. If we just organize the way transport flows, then we will not need to be flying over anywhere to anywhere. One of the projects we're hoping that we will move significantly before we leave office is the Benin River Port. It makes economic sense. The studies have been completed, the environmental impact assessment has been done, and applications have been made to the MPA, and we're at the stage where we're making the final push to get investors to help us build that port. Because with the congestion you see in Apapa, it just makes sense to move goods from that port, containers from Apapa, through the Benin River to the Benin City River Port, so that people going to Onitsha or to other parts in the east or the north can come in here and move their cargoes. The world is talking about environment today. The world is talking about net zero carbon. Everybody is in Egypt as we speak, because that is one of the biggest challenges that faces mankind. We, fortunately, have that natural advantage, the sense that we're in the rainforests. If we grow enough, God has given us that climate to grow enough trees to absorb the carbon dioxide in our air and clean up for us. But what we met was a situation where forests were just indiscriminately reserved. And, trees were being cut down, and we just had massive deforestation. People were just coming in, cutting down trees and exporting without any control. That we are stopping by making sure that we have now updated our forestry laws, which have not been updated for about 40 or so years. We now have a new forestry law, which has set up a forestry commission. So all the issues relating to forestry is now in one place. We're training forest police officers or forest rangers, new generation of them, arming them, hoping to arm them and give them the communication devices to make sure that our forests are not ungoverned territories anymore for criminals and for people who come and log indiscriminately. We are investing in forests, and next year we're going to be doing fresh allocations for people who want to invest in forestry assets. Lastly, in the area of the environment, we must clean and green Edo. Oba of Benin. Here we'll be needing the support of our traditional institutions. We all agree we cannot continue to run our cities with the kind of filth we see today. We have to force the local governments to do what they're supposed to do. The state government will give them the support. Every child in Edo is now being encouraged that on their birthdays they must plant a tree. So that by the time they are 30, a child is 30, they've already planted 30 trees and they can see where those trees are, either at home, in their father's farms or villages, or in their schools. So, because if you go to some cities like Atlanta in the world, you are flying in, it's all green. When you are flying into Edo of Benin City, you think you are flying into a desert because you can't find any green. We have to stop it and go back to what God has given us. The last issue, the last area of reform is our arts and culture. Nobody has what we have in the world. And so for us, that is a unique advantage we need to build on. We need to create a situation where people come to our state, to our city, to see what they've heard about and read about us. Our modes, our food, our bronze work, everybody, we want to encourage people to come. And so what we've done is to say, let's define a cultural district. So we can now begin to advertise Edo as a cultural hub to the world and drive traffic here. Because we all travel. We go to Venice, what do we go and see? We just go and see what we heard is there. So let's clean up, let's organize, and let's get people to now begin to come and see what we have. See the beauty in our traditional systems, and see the beauty in our landscape. Whether it's cultural tourism, whether it's ecotourism, whether it's business tourism, these are areas we want to focus on to drive traffic. Can you imagine if 1 million people come into Edo every year and spend $1,000 when they come? That is more than IGR as a state. We are also using that as using the opportunity to also work with our young people. Our young people are very, very creative. So as a government, we're helping them build in infrastructure so that whether it is movies, whether it is music, whether it's theater, they don't have to spend or struggle to go elsewhere to express themselves. That's why we converted the old warehouses in the Observer premises into the Victor Owaifo soundstage. And we've equipped that facility with world-class audio and video mixing and production facilities so that we can continue to get the young people to produce their films, to produce their music in Benin City and at this state. We want to thank Rock TV for deciding to come and shoot most of their home movies in Edo. This year alone, I understand they've shot almost 30 Nollywood movies in that facility. For us, the future is, like I said, culture. We're creating a cultural district. We're mapping them out. In my budget announcement this year, we're going to be making provisions to encourage museums. The Royal Museum will come, will be supported. We have the National Museum, it will be supported. Other private museums. So when people come, they have things to come and see. The moats we are doing, we're rehabilitating working with the federal government, sections of the moats so that people can come in and do moat walks. They can walk to Igun Street, look at what we have as part of what we have to offer. We must begin to drive traffic into Edo so that we can earn income from tourism. So, it's been a long journey the last 6 years. So as we begin to wind down, what is the future? We have to sustain what we have started. And we are calling on all of you Edo citizens to join us, to support us. We've made significant progress. The world has changed. We are very advantaged. We need to build on what we have started. What we have started are just baby steps, but we can see that where we are going is full of opportunities and benefits. We have to be the production hub of this country because we have the energy source to do so. We have to be the talent source. We've always been that. Wherever you find an institution working and things happening, check it out. There's usually an Edo person behind it. We have to be the culture capital of our sub-region. And all of this can only be possible when we have an agile civil service, an agile public service to run government. I want to thank all of you for your support. I want to thank you for your prayers and hope and pray that God Almighty will help us make Edo great again. Thank you.
An erudite delivery by the technocrat in power, His Excellency Godwin Nogegase Obaseki, with his formidable team. Can we please another round of applause for His Excellency? As already enumerated by His Excellency, Edo is a land of rich culture. And we are proud to have in our midst a very rare phenomenon. The Oba of Benin hardly leaves his palace. But a special guest of honor, His Royal Majesty, the 40th Oba of Benin, Omonoba Nedo Ukwakolopolo Oba Ewa the second Ogidiga, CFR, is physically present here. Oba Tokbe. And so our culture is unique. We're going to have the traditional breaking of kola nuts. On behalf of the Edo State government, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Oluwole Idebudia Iyamu, will make the bowl of kola nuts and the hot drinks available. And Moses Obakbalo will take it up from here.
Oba Tokpe. Ewa Ogidigan, Oba Nugburiri Nedu, Oba no Nyomi Nyotegele, Oba no Haimwete, Uloko Nugbovwenedu, Ebokman Okmagweni, Ama Oguname, Iri Egbeda Yakun Fia Ebe no Wegbese, Egbeda Wahinedu no Sabo Guname, Oba Nagadere Onyeme Sowa. Ovo we not basi, owie wa Ogidi Ghana ni pe abonda, ewa ina to game no yegbe efiugbe. Oba na go, oba na roa, oba ne titibiti. Oba ne wuwu ne gwasa, no dun wokwo, we no mana kone maton, gwogbolo kekwe amila, we ni ye no ma loriere, e no rierere. Oba atokpe Oba Adewu Edo, Oma ye wivie orijo weon. Oba no wodwa wiakpa muna no masak morioba. Eden orioba wedo. Otowukun rirugbama. Even no egbeni rakara. Urupa. Aworon wewerune. No yahi upeke ni kao. Ukiwo mwengi pada yaradugie. Bebi avanso. Ugbenwode a akawon radraso wero baratokpe ugirado kurukuru isori mi ovun Oba na yemire Oba na zirelezegbe azomo isozo uloko nugbovun enedo Oba na ro Oba na roa uatokpe domo mogun kaye koron boyen wene Oba na radere onyemera sowa Weso mogun umage kwemu edo umage edo kin oku ne won do umage edo kin ugbogu ne wo ne de ni no manya ore na khore Oba ratokpe ebi ya no sanobu ayi ehia wi ya roba wa oto iso ahia meniriso awon wehia esekwoto sekukun awigele imi awugbogio imi òmùẹ̀nà kokunde òmùẹ̀nà fiosue ọba ìhàní èrè eníkà ògbégbégbé ìlóyì níbi ọba níbi ètàn bá kèrémáyúgà wọn sà èyáwí yàrá ọba wọn ọba àtọpẹ.
Ọba àtọpẹ yìí.
Ọba àtọpẹ yìí. Ènìwọ̀n ẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀. Báyìí. Ẹ̀sọ́lọ́bù anọ́kẹ́dẹ̀ náà. Ọbí yí ọbí tó hàn. Màríẹ̀ ọba wọn. Ọmọ agbádẹ. Ọ̀nà tó igwe Obaseki to get the Edo Summit in 2022. Loud. Ẹ̀rí ọ̀nà ìrùsẹ́ o. Owó kí wọ́n bá. Wúwẹ̀ kẹ̀ ìhùwà. Man bumwina no do uge ore na wa mo so wa gwa lo ọba ma ore ona nana ye ma na dogu wa ye na wa ya ma o ọba ma ama o ito we no gwa lo yo ba ne ori owe oyo po won duge àti ọba ni bàbá àga rẹ̀ sọ àga wa mi àga ẹ̀dùn àrùn ẹ̀ yá ga ẹ̀dùn àrùn ọba máa yá ga ó tẹ Nàìjíríà yọ ọba máa yá ga ìnàdà owó kọ́ ẹ̀yà fẹ́ balóbanu pé mi hẹ́ ẹ̀ ni ọba máa tọ́ pẹ́ ẹ̀. ẹ̀gbọ́n àjọṣùmọ́.
Yes, sir. The kola nuts have been broken, and the gene for prayers is the next. Prayers in Edo language for Mr. Governor and all that have come here today on the request of His Majesty. Yes, sir. And so the prayed broken kola nuts, the formalities are being concluded now. Yes, sir. And the prayer was for Mr. Governor, and a kola nut will be given to him. He will also, in line with tradition, acknowledge that is God in one. His Excellency, the Right Honorable Comrade Philip Shaibu, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, will also be given one. He will also, the Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Marcus Onobu. The Chief Judge of the Edo State, my Lord Honorable Justice Joe Acha. And with his principal, heads of the various arms of governments, the entire Edo is represented. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands together for these, our cultural heritage. Agae tada, no iso egbe, abe ya anyo ya lerum, be no keke. Chief Ozigbo Iseri will conclude.
Obaseki. Urianyo. Uweke. Ibie Emanuba Wagba ire government. When I had the little Nuwa. Wama. Wamane Wamafu. Arioba. Okay, wona. No ba Obaseki governor Obaseki na Olotu. Uwa ma o. Okari oba. Uwa ya ma o. Abane wa ma fo. Wa en wona ya dolo yi. Uwa te Edo State ya dolo yi. Oda Edo State ya lage o. Okwaro ukworo ya ma. Obama Obama yaga. Obama yaga. Government Obama yaga. If no di ma we kuma ya fe no ke ni ma tam Obama ma ya tam Obama yaga wa so. Obama yaga wa van. Obama talk pe
The hot drink of prayers will also be on the approval of His Majesty descends. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands together for this. And so with that, Anyeru Okarioba Mawo Ugyomano Wanwe Setwenyo. If he doesn't want to drink, he can delegate. So Put your hands together. Nogega setwa Obaseki. Okari Oba doya. And then Zupogeva, the Right Honorable Comrade Philip Shaibu. Aswagbe. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come to the end of that very elucidating traditional formalities. Edo Oisiagbon. I make bold to say there are two notable kingdoms in the world, the United Kingdom in England and the Great Benin Kingdom.
Thank you very much, sir. And I know growing up, we were told that hot drink is what gives us energy as Nigerians. Many of us from this part of Nigeria where we start with hot drink, we behave differently. If you're a witness, just do your hands like this. Yes, we see clearer, we hear clearer, our blood they hot. Now we know why. And we are grateful for our tradition. Last year, I moved from my home in Lekki to Benin, and people thought I was crazy. They didn't know I was about to partake of the best of life. Air is cleaner because there are no generators where I live. Power is cheaper, almost by 60%. I have people in my organization who I hired 2 of from Edo Jobs when I came in last year, and they're young people, all under the age of 27. One of them is standing over there. They all earn between 70,000 and 100,000 naira because the company can afford it because our costs are lower. So now some of my friends who thought I was crazy then, guess what they're doing now? They're looking for houses in Benin because they've seen that it's easier to run their businesses. What do? Our businesses just need internet and where to sit down, and we solve challenges across the world. Where there's power, there's internet, there's business, there's money, there's smiles on the faces, and we can walk free. Yeah, somebody's clapping. Clap very well. My name is Joyce Daniels Owame, and it's my privilege to welcome up one of the men who is responsible for this life that I enjoy in my home in Edo State. He lived in different countries across the world over 35 years. He was responsible for some power setups in Russia, Ukraine, not Ukraine now, Russia, Qatar, Libya, the United Kingdom, United States, in Canada. And himself and his friends said, why not go set up something at home? And then they began the journey through tough times, the partnership between themselves and Edo State government, and then the resilience to continue. And now we have impact where we have power, we're enjoying it, and we're building businesses on it. Distinguished guests, his profile is on page 29 of the brochure, but allow me to welcome our keynote speaker for today at the Edo Investment Summit of Agodara 2022. Please welcome the Managing Director of Siomo Independent Power Plant, Dr. Uwa Igehon, who will speak to Edo's transformation, partnerships, resilience, and impact. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, and a very special thank you to our Royal Father, Obana Edu, February the 2nd. Distinguished guests. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share our experiences. And of course, from my perspective, yes, of course, we're investors, but home. And it has been my pleasure over the years. Of course, it's been challenging. But the reality is that any project anywhere in the world is challenging. But today, we are very pleased that we have achieved our objectives. Now, the main focus this morning is to share our experiences with other investors that are coming in and investors that are looking to come into Edo State. You know, the one thing I can tell you is that right now, if you want to talk about all the issues, exchange rate, inflation, everything, you can spend all the time you like. But the reality is that you just need to get on with it. As far as we are concerned, this down part of the cycle is the best time to make investments. It's not easy, but I think Edo, over the years, you know, the investment climate has completely changed, and there is no doubt about it that based on our experience, all I can say is that whatever you are looking to do in Edo State, I think that you are in the right place. So I'll just spend the next few slides going through, sharing some of our experiences, and then looking forward to what we'll see developing in Edo State over in the medium term. The first slide, please. So going back to the first slide, the introduction slide, I think what we just wanted to do there is to set the scene. From our perspective, what we set to do with the Osiamo Power Project was to proceed with the power transformation, and which we have largely done. A lot of people have spoken about it. Today, I will just share a few more facts. Then the second thing is the industrial transformation. To be very candid, the power plant at the outset was based on our needs within the industrial park. We are developing process plants. But I still remember November 2016, His Excellency called me, I was in London, and his question was, what are you going to do for our people? I said, Your Excellency, thank God we have our license, let's proceed. And that's how we proceeded. And today, the result is clear. Then the energy infrastructure. I think, anyone that goes along the Sapler Road and sees our 33 kV transmission lines and towers will understand exactly what we mean. We meant business, and I'm pleased that we have done it. Then the partnership, which is a key theme of this summit, Yes, the partnership with Edo State government has been unique. At every point, even now during the operations phase, even this morning, I can assure you, of course, suffice it to say that the power we are using in this, summit is all from Osiomo Power. But I can assure you that even as we sit here, my operators are working around the clock and we are communicating because it takes a tremendous amount of effort, just like the London Underground, to make sure everything is put in place, to make sure that we have light and we can do all the things we want to do. Then in terms of partnership, I will also mention Edo Refinery. Edo Refinery is also in Ologbo, and we have worked together, the management, the technical staff, and Edo Refinery is now in the process of commissioning, and we are following it. There's been a tremendous delay in the commissioning, but these things they're normal. I'm sure in a year's time, Mike would have forgotten about all those problems. But it's a true partnership. We have been patient. We have reserved power for Edo Refinery, and we will continue to reserve power for them until they are ready to commission. That's what partnerships are all about. Then in terms of the regulators, yes, you will hear us. If I want to talk about the challenges we have had, we can spend the next 2 days. However, along the way, we have had a lot of support, tremendous support. People from the Federal Ministry of Environment, when we did our EIA, NEC, the DPR, the Federal Ministry of Transport, the representative is here. We've had a lot of support. And so I don't focus on the negative, I focus on the positive. Then in terms of impact, 24/7 power is 24/7 power. You can't, it's very obvious. It's either you have it or you don't have it. And certainly leading up to last year, in November 2021, our performance was 99.7%. Very simple. What it means is the number of hours in the month, the number of hours of provided power divided by the number of hours in the month. December, it was 99.9%. Earlier this year, we had a lot of issues, with the gas system and all of that, but all those issues, we're overcoming them. But the most critical thing is that we have set up a modern energy infrastructure. Just to be absolutely clear, the entire infrastructure we have, from gas generation, from the gas plant, power generation, transmission, distribution, all the way to the final customer is brand new. We're not using any existing system. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a very brief overview in terms of the process that we went through. We had a very long licensing process. And that took quite a long time, well over 5 years. And a lot of that was due to all sorts of issues. However, with the new electricity bill in Edo State, that particular issue is largely mitigated. And I can only thank His Excellency for picking up on that point. It makes a huge difference. Apart from creating the market, it removes the uncertainty and all the problems that we went through, including court cases from BEDC and all that stuff. But, we've overcome that. But more importantly, the state is in a different place. Then, of course, we went through all the various processes in terms of the design and the engineering. And, of course, it was November 2020, exactly 2 years ago, that we switched on the lights at the stadium, and then of course there was a tremendous excitement. And what we have done since then is to continue to build on that progressively. We'll come to it perhaps in the next slide. Right now we have over 120 kilometers of transmission and distribution lines, brand new. And on an average, every month we are extending the network by about 5 to 10 kilometers. As we sit here now, we have over 20 establishments who are in the process of connections. And this is the way we are developing in a progressive way. But it's also important that, when you have this development, it has to be done in a financially sustainable way. And this is what we have done. So moving on to the next slide, what you have there on the right is photographs of our engine hall and our workshop. And basically, please go back to the last slide. And basically what we have there is a situation where we have a very strong O&M. From day one, we had to design the O&M. And it's one of the reasons why the operation and maintenance for us is pretty straightforward, because a large part of our workforce are Nigerians. We train them. The design was done by us, was done in London, but we fully participated. But a large part of it, the construction of the towers that you see, were all done by our local staff. So because anything you design and you engineer yourself is easy to operate. That's the principle. So we don't need to pay dollars to expatriates to operate our systems. We operate our systems. So the next slide, please. So there, in terms of the current situation, we provide power 24/7. Various government establishments, the Secretariat, the Government House, the High Court Complex, House of Assembly, the stadium where we started, the major hospitals in Benin, the Civil Service Commission. And then moving on to the industrial hubs, the Production Center, the Innovation Center, Benin Owena River Basin Authority, I want to mention. The partnership with the Benin Owena River Basin Authority has been exemplary. We've worked together with our team and we provide Benin Owena power at their head office in Obanyato as well as in Benin. And then, of course, Edo Refinery, because in a refinery, essentially the primary facility, it's the power. So essentially, we provide the facilities and utilities to Edo Refinery. We concluded that connection February this year. And since then, we have been ready for them. Commercial centers, the Benin Mall, communities, and, local communities where we are, is where the refinery is where the Saro project is. But Ologbo had not had power for 6 years. Parts of Benin will have power for 25% of the time, 50% of the time. Ologbo hosts one of the largest flow stations we have in this country with a capacity of over 100,000 barrels a day. But for 6 years, they had no light. So, but thankfully, we completed. And today, funny enough, Ologbo probably has more power in terms of availability and accessibility than most places in Abuja at a cost that is minimal. So that's just, the transformation that has happened there. Then the street lights. Of course, for us, it was about 24/7 power, then the street lights, and then the security. So that in particular is something that we have been very pleased about. Then just talking about impact, typically the way we would look at power is not so much about the megawatts, it's the megawatts per capita, the power consumption per capita. You see some statistics there, which is from the IEA. The global average is about over 3,000. The UK, which of course is a developed country, is over 4,000. And critically, Egypt, which is perhaps one of the most developed countries in Africa, is 1,500. And I executed over 4 or 5 projects in Egypt. Nigeria is 144. And the access to power is just as critical. You see, around the world, it's close to 100%, but in Nigeria, it's about 50%. But you contrast that, we've just done a simple measurement. Of course, we don't currently distribute power over the whole of Oredo and Ikpoba, so we took 50% of the population. If you apply our 95 megawatts, you can see that we are close to 1,000. This is the point. We've already gotten this area essentially close to a fast developed African country. That's what we have done. It's very simple to measure. And then, of course, if you are in Ologbo or you are in GRA where our lines are, you have 100% access to our power. It's not a question of load shedding or anything. You have 100% access. So it's all about the power per capita as well as the access. That's what is measured. It's not the number of megawatts you have. It's almost irrelevant. So we're moving on in terms of the next phase. We look at this from 2 aspects. One, of course, there are 3 senatorial districts in Edo State, and I'm asked all the time, how do we extend power to other parts of Edo South? How do we extend power to Edo Central? And how do we extend power to Edo North? A lot of this is part of the reliability plan that is under development by the government, and of course, a core part of the electricity law development. But I will just suggest that for the sake of argument, if our target for the entire state is 1,000 kilowatt hour per capita, then it requires over 900 megawatts, basically. That's our target, and that has to be our target to start with. And of course, the access to capital, has to be access to power, which has to be 100%. And what that means is transmission and distribution lines. But what it also means is that we can't go to 132 or 330 kV. It has to be 11 or 33 kV, because to go from 33 kV to 330 kV, in terms of the voltage, is 10 times. But in terms of the cost and the complexity, it's like 100 times. So we have to design a system that makes it easy to achieve those objectives. Next slide, please. Okay. So the next slide, now we are talking about we've just finished the access to capital. So now we are talking about the industrial park. Our industrial park, Osiamo Power, is part of the development of the Osiamo Industrial Park. And the Osiamo Industrial Park is primarily focused on large industries. And it's those industries that really drive the economic development. Now, our projections for the industries we have within our industrial park is one where we, from day one, when we applied for our NEC license in 2013, we indicated to NEC that what we are building is a 550 megawatts power plant. What we have done essentially is the first stage. So that's our target, and that's what we need for the process plants that we are going to put in place at our site. And those process plants are pretty well advanced, and we are pushing on with them. But what that means is that for the Benin Industrial Park, for the refinery, and all the other projects around Ologbo, they are going to have the opportunity to have, the upsurge in power that is going to come with that. Because the critical difference here is that the power that we are generating and distributing, it's available 100% to, all the industries within Edo State. We don't have a commitment to put any of our power on the national grid. There's never been any need for that. Okay, so essentially that's the background to that. And the next slide, please. So essentially we've reached the conclusions, and there are some critical conclusions here that I would like to share, with the audience. Number one, we have a situation now where we have a very, very stable system, because one thing about power is not only having the access to the power, it's the quality in terms of the voltage and all of that. That a lot is not talked about that, but a lot of the industries who are connected to our power attest to that. So, but what is also important is the industrialization. I give you an example. We have an oil mill at Oba that is connected to our 11 kV network. At a point in time, that oil mill consumed more power than the whole of Ologbo. So this is why it's absolutely critical that we develop, these small, medium enterprises. You can imagine what our power does to that. Prior to that, the network did not even get to that oil mill. They were using diesel all the time. It's transformed that business. They employ people, they produce palm oil. Now, there is another oil mill at Owanoba, which is after Obayanto, that we are connecting. And in addition to that, there is a new oil mill that is being built at Ologbo, which will commence operations next month. So this is the transformation that we are talking about. So it's not only to provide power, people in houses to be comfortable, but this is a tremendous part of the industrial development. So this is what we are seeing on a daily basis. So we see a situation there where there's going to be a tremendous upsurge, and we encourage industries to come in close to us, inside the industrial park, outside the industrial park, in Benin, anywhere in the state, and we will try as much as possible to support them with stable power. That's one. The second thing, of course, as is attested to by the lady that introduced me, we see a situation, we're getting calls every day of companies that want to relocate to Edo State, primarily because of power. And that's a tremendous testament to what the government has done. Then on our own part, the reason why I have always focused on the large process plants, and I have numerous examples of having the privilege to be part of many process plants in Qatar, in Egypt, in Oman, is because that's what's really going to change the economy. Because every single product that we are designing for our industrial park are products that are being used in Nigeria, but imported. And everything we need to make those plants and those products are here in Nigeria. So this is absolutely critical. I have seen situations where just one single process plant changed the economy of a country. So that's why we are absolutely focused on it. These projects are large, they are complex, they are complicated, but we have to do it. We have to do it to change this narrative of FX and everything else. And this is our number one vision and our number one mission right now. Thankfully, we have a lot of partners from all over the world, technology partners who I've worked with over the years, who are 100% supporting us. So, of course, that is going to create a tremendous amount of economic development. Then, of course, in association with our process plant development, we recently received our license for our marine facility, which means that we can now import and export products directly from that facility. So I thank the Federal Ministry of Transport for helping us to get to that point. It's been a significant milestone for us. So, and then the last point I will make is in terms of job creation. Of course, we've created a lot of jobs already, and very high quality jobs. Engineers right across the chain, the gas plant, 2 power plants, the 33 kV lines, 11 kV lines, and even the metering. But of course, the process plants will even increase significantly. So when His Excellency made his promise of 200,000 jobs, I think we have made a lot of input into that, and the process plants will even do more. So on that basis, I think to just wrap up, I want to thank the Alao Odaro team. The concept of institutionalizing Alao Odaro and having this conference, every November is fantastic. It creates a lot of focus, and it differentiates Edo State. But last but not the least, from my own personal perspective, a friend of mine says all the time, and is here in the audience, why don't I just put my money in bonds rather than going through all this hassle of project development? So speaking to the prospective investors here, my answer to that is simple. If you put your money in bonds or any fixed income instrument, and you go and sit back in Monaco or anywhere, yes, over the 1 or 2 years in the short range, you probably make more money. But believe me, in the long term, this is much, much better. The second point I will make is that, as we owe it as a responsibility to develop whatever little piece of the earth that we come from. And you can't do that by buying and selling bonds. So these are the things that drive me personally. So with that, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful visions. Thank you very much. We now excuse His Royal Majesty, who's already indicated interest to attend to other palace functions, and His Excellency will escort him out. We will converge thereafter. The music can continue.
To service now, the glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. are found in all nations, and our greatness is second to none.
Cameraman, just place.
Our history forever shall
We're going to have some
be
pictures.
how our kings have endured all times. A people cultured in unity, our hearts beat for the land. Rich culture, stories of heroes, legacies forever be. Beautiful and glorious and you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful and glorious and stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Unite and stand with each other. Forgive and let it go. Together we can stand, come what may, and the future lies in us. Teach our children to teach their children. The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the land. The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers of labor, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful and glorious and you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful and glorious and stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Our treasures are found in all nations, and our greatness is second to none. Our history forever shall be written, how our kings have endured all times. A people cultured in unity, our hearts beat for the land. Rich culture, stories of heroes, legacies forever be. Beautiful and glorious and you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful and glorious and stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Unite and stand with each other. Forgive and let it go. Together we can stand, come what may, and the future lies in us. Teach our children to teach their children what our fathers taught. To fear and love the Creator, only then shall we succeed. Beautiful and glorious and you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful and glorious and stars are singing over.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're the land people dream.
We now please resume our seats. An appeal that those behind can fill up. The Negiers can come forward to the seats where the palace functionaries were seated. Yes. Thank you. Please, can we resume our seats? Please. This event is live on channels. Please resume your seats. And it's live on many other networks. His Excellency is expected back, and then the summit continues. And so I'll invite Joyce Daniels to please bring on the moderator and panelists on plenary 1, achieving competitiveness.
Distinguished guests, please, before I bring the members of the next panel, if there are people standing close to you, please tell them, let's sit down. Say to them, let's sit down. All right, if there are people standing around you, touch someone and say, let's go sit down. Let's go sit. Thank you. Ushers, please help us with some people movement. We're about to get into first plenary. Thank you to those who are leaving and returning to their seats. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we see some more movement. His Excellency, our governor, has just returned and he's taken his seat. So please all, may we take our seats as we jump into first plenary. Ushers, please help us with some people movement. Thank you. Thank you. To those in the center aisle, please return to your seats. Please return to your seats. Thank you. Yes. To those who are doing people movement, thank you so much. If you are asked to move seats now, please just do so very quickly. Thank you very much. Some people are being asked to move seats forward. Please follow the prompting of the ushers and just make it very snappy so that during the conversations it will be without distraction. Great and lofty heights attained to build a nation where peace and justice reign. This is still our prayer. This is still our desire. And all the wonderful items in the scorecard being reeled out are toward great and lofty heights attained in Edo State. Now allow me welcome to the stage our first panel, which will be conversing on achieving competitiveness. The moderator for this session is the Chief Executive Officer, Agon Continental, and also member of the board, member of several boards indeed, Mr. Nnanna Ude. Welcome, sir. Please appreciate him. And just because I know he went to another FGC, Senior Nnanna, sir, welcome. Mrs. Uki Nebo Dare will be joining up next on this session, and I'm just going according to the names in front of me. That's the order we're following. She is head transitions at MasterCard Foundation, and before this role, she served as the pioneer managing director of the Edo State Skills Development Agency, also known as Edo Jobs. Please welcome her. She's now seated. Welcome, Mrs. Dare. Mr. Dimeji Saludin is also here. Please welcome him as he comes up. He has over 28 years of experience and he works with KPMG Nigeria as sector lead for Nigeria's infrastructure, government, and healthcare business. Welcome, sir. Mr. John Osage Negbedion is also coming up. Please welcome him warmly. He is the Chairman Task Force on IGR, Edo State Internal Revenue Service. And we are delighted to have him share his thoughts, his ideas, and interventions as we discuss competitiveness. If we'll pipe down just a bit, there's still a lot of noise in the room. Thank you. Thank you. Join me welcome Hajia Saratu Umar as she comes up. She is the Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC. Welcome, ma'am. She's also the founder and Chief Executive Officer at Eastern Consulting Nigeria. And just before I get out of your way with the lectern, allow me welcome Mr. Collins Onwegbu as he joins up on this panel. Please receive him warmly. He's the chairman of Signal Alliance Technology Holdings, a Nigerian and African technology company that is doing great work, and will receive his interventions now. Welcome, sir. Allow me hand the microphone over to Mr. Moderator for the next hour. And if it will be shorter, why not? Senior Nana, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Joyce. Can you all hear me? Okay. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, as the world becomes more increasingly economically integrated, subnational governments are expected to implement economic development strategies to create an environment in which firms and businesses can compete internationally within the sub-sovereign in order to generate sustained growth. Cities, subnationals, like San Francisco, Tokyo, London, Paris, have gained international reputation beyond their national boundaries because they have established a global recognition that conjures a powerful set of ideas that there are places not only to visit, but to do business and innovate. So the ability of subnationals to project a distinctive global identity is critical in connecting with trade, investment, and opportunities in an increasingly competitive environment. Those subnationals that are able to do it can enjoy the benefits of rapid domestic growth, innovation, production, and attracting businesses and entrepreneurs, especially young people. And these subnationals have been able to take advantage of disruptions in rapid globalization, urbanization, and technical change to enable more commerce, capital, talent, and opportunities. Since 2016, the government of His Excellency Godwin Obaseki has worked very, very hard in this direction. And so this is the focus of this first plenary as we discuss achieving competitiveness within the context of this year's theme, Edo's transformation, partnerships, resilience, and impact. We will take on this session from 5 pillars of subnational competitiveness: skills, infrastructure, investment climate, tax reforms, and technology adoption. And we have before us here excellent panelists that will help us unpack these pillars as we chart the path to achieving competitiveness. Welcome to this first plenary. Uki, I'm going to start with you. And not just because you're sitting close to me, but because you have been here for the past years working very hard in this government. As you know, human capital to the productivity of firms and enterprises. Now, businesses will seek to leverage on an economy's human capital, provided the skills and competencies are there within the local economy. You are the pioneer MD of Edo State Skills Development Agency, which was, by the way, established by the government of Governor Obaseki to primarily close the skills gap in the state. Now, I ask you, to what extent can companies seeking to establish in Edo State find people with the right skills to fill their vacancies when they come to Edo State?
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I think that from His Excellency's presentation, one thing is very clear, that the initiatives of this government always start with a strategy. So what's the strategy? What's the long-term goal? So in looking at jobs, in looking at how the state can be competitive, skills was approached from where do we find the overlap between what industry is looking for and what young people are interested in. And then the state government focused on 5 major sectors. So entertainment, in that sector, you know that there's a high interest for young people. Agriculture, manufacturing, construction, and technology. So in these sectors, these are not just the only sectors where the state government works, but these are the sectors where the majority of time and investment and strategic thinking was put in. Because that is where, from the research, from analysis, we could see that there's an overlap between interest and opportunity for young people and for businesses. Now, you said to what extent? So having invested in skills and job creation since the beginning of the administration, through Edo Jobs, through the then Ministry of Work Creation and so many other agencies in government, Edo State government has been able to become a beacon for the private sector, saying we have talent in the sectors, in these 5 sectors and more. So I'll just give you one practical example. I told somebody yesterday that at Edo Innovates right now, there's a UK-based company who has their back office at Edo Innovates. It's a data company. They started by employing 2 people, and now they have 12 staff. The company is in the UK, but they are here. So that's what I mean when I say a beacon. Because it's not just enough to have the talent. The world has to know that the talent is there. And that you have the talent in the right quantity and quality. So how the state government invested is investing in the skills that industry is looking for and then making them recognizable. So ensuring that the people that are getting trained are getting the certifications that the world can recognize. So by partnering with the best, so like in technology, for example, if you're a cloud computing engineer, you have the world-class cloud computing engineer certification, and you are also advertised. So in the 5 sectors I mentioned, over 200,000 young people have been trained to either work for other people or start their own businesses, and we've had fantastic response from the private sector because of one major principle, and that is that the best person should get the job, which is not very common when you think about government interventions. The best person should get the job. So when you're coming to Edo Jobs for an employee, and Edo Jobs provides employees from your driver all the way to your CFO, these people are available. You know that you are going to get somebody who has been trained, somebody who had to go through a competitive process, and that your team is going to get the best.
Thank you very much. That's good to hear. If we have time, I'll come back to talk about reskilling the old people.
Yes. Okay.
Because right now, there is no longer a retirement age. When you retire from service, you have to go and pick up a new skill. So we'll come to that if I have the time. So what I hear you say is that companies can come to Edo because your agency has worked hard to make sure that the skills that they need are here. John, now, when these companies hear Uki's call and decide to come to invest, we know that the state government needs funds. And so you will have to scale up your IGR targets. In doing that, how are you able to ensure, through the tax reforms I know that has been unveiled by the state government, to ensure that companies coming to do business here are not victims of multiple taxation, heavy tax burden, and an inefficient tax system that can keep you for months filing your tax papers? So I want you to come in and convince us that your tax reforms are not only business friendly, but enable business growth and expansion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a brilliant question. First, I want to recognize the presence of the governor and the deputy governor. I want to adopt already established protocol. The beauty of Edo is that we are blessed to have someone who understands business to be our leader. And as such, you listen to his speech, the creativity, the innovations, that is driving business. For taxation to be what I would say, articulated and managed administration-wise, you need economic activities. We'll start from there. However, we have invested in technology. We have a system, Edo State Revenue Administration System, which has now made our tax system so transparent, accountable, and computation of taxes is no longer subjective. We do electronic assessment, not manual. All our tax rates across all MDAs are now on our website. They are uploaded such that you can go to the website, you can check any form of tax that you are about to pay, you have the range or the rate as the case may be. Also, you can do online filing. You can do your assessment. When you come in as a new business, you come to us and we would register you depending on the nature of the business you are doing. If, okay, you are just going to be doing payee, you're a limited liability company, the withholding taxes that has to do with the state, you let us know because you are a collecting agent. We'll register you on our system, give you a unique identification number, a revenue identification number, and a tax identification number. All your staff are also registered with us. We have a new structure now where we have about 72 branches in all our local governments spread across, which means there is a tax office nearest to you, such that the issue of filing, you don't have to labor from Auchi to come to Benin to file. There is a tax office next to you. You go in, file your returns, we do your assessment. It is also not subjective. The system will calculate it based on your returns, and electronically, the assessment is generated. The beauty of it is that most organizations have tax experts managing their tax affairs. They interact with us. All this can also happen online, such that you can send in your returns, we'll pick it from our website, calculate, and also send back to you. You'll see your assessment. If you have any complaints, you can also reach us. We'll clarify it, because the beauty of taxation is that it is based on law. I cannot manipulate what is not in the law. More so, the efficiency of our system has made it easy for every taxpayer to be able to estimate what their taxes will be. And then you did ask a question, the issue of multiple taxation. We are in collaborations with local government now, because the problem has always been states will come and file this, local government will come and file this. No. In Edo, we have a new system of harmonizing our taxes, particularly those that have to do with businesses. We have a presumptive tax structure where the personal income tax of the business owner, the shop levy, which belongs to the local government, and the business premises, which is collectible by the state, are harmonized, 3 taxes in one, and served to you. When you also make payments, you have electronic devices or means. We do not operate cash. All our tax payments and collection is cashless. And we have various medium of effecting payment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very comforting to hear. And at least you can give him a round of applause for all of this. Businesses like to hear this type of story. But if we have the time, I will want to put the numbers to it. I would like to match your IGR and the numbers on business growth to make sure that they are properly matched. Dimeji, one thing that John will tell you is that in spite of his best efforts, they will not be able to generate enough revenue to fund infrastructure. And the quality of infrastructure determines transaction costs and logistic costs for businesses. And so because public investment in infrastructure cannot deliver the quantity of infrastructure you need, PPPs now hold the key. I know that there's a PPP unit in the state. I also do know that delivering PPPs is really not an easy task. For the national government, and then you can imagine how it is for subnational governments. And it's not just a Nigeria story. I said I won't say this, but Edo no be Lagos, but I know you are working on some transactions in Lagos, PPPs. What insights can you share with us here about how subnationals can approach the design of PPP frameworks that can deliver infrastructure?
Thank you very much, Nana. The truth of the matter is that from a global perspective, the world is not short of financing. In fact, the world is awash, with money, looking for outlets, to invest in, including infrastructure. From the records we have, there is in excess of $120 trillion in assets under management that is looking for where to put the money. If you now come back to the level of Edo State, and you look at our spend on CAPEX, it is actually in the region of 45%, which is decent, by any standard. The problem is when you now compare the current spend, let's say about 50 billion on an annual basis from annual appropriation, when you relate that to the funding gap that we have, you see that we have a huge gap. So we've got to find, a way to actually crowd in the huge volumes that are available out there. In the interest of time, I will mention two things, one fairly generic and the other fairly specific. The question you need to ask yourself is, why is it that there is so much need for infrastructure to be built? And despite the fact that there's so much money looking for such opportunities, the monies haven't come, okay? It is because there are certain binding constraints that are preventing these monies, from coming in through PPPs. In my view, the most significant is the policy, legal, and regulatory framework. I think we're already doing fairly well as Edo State, because even in spite of what we have, based on the presentation by His Excellency the Governor, there's so much that is already coming in. But given the scale of our ambition as a state, and given the gap in terms of financing, there is clearly room to actually make our policy, legal, and regulatory framework for PPPs more robust. And I'll just mention very quickly three things, that we need to do. One is we need a PPP law like yesterday. I'm aware that we have a draft. We need to get it, through Parliament, and actually pass it into law. What that will do is that it brings certainty and predictability into the investments that would come in. As we know, infrastructure build is a long-term thing, cutting across several administrations. So therefore, in order to manage the risk, we have to have predictability in the law. We need a PPP law like yesterday. Secondly, we need a PPP agency. We have one on ground right now. But again, given the amount of work that needs to be done, the capacity of the PPP agency needs to be enhanced so that they can be well positioned to actually help the ministries, departments, and agencies of the state government from where the potential PPP projects, will come. And then the final thing, very quickly, is that great, we have a 30-year development plan, and we have infrastructure as one of the key pillars. I think where we need to get to as a state is that we have a pipeline of infrastructure projects. Okay, so we need to drill down on that plan, on the infrastructure pillar in the development plan, into a more specific infrastructure blueprint by project, costed, funding strategy incorporated, and phased, so that I can use that to engage potential investors to say, this is what my plan is, let's say over the next 10 years. And then also the amount of funding would also, that is required also. The second thing, which is very specific, is that one of the major reasons why the funds are not coming in the quantum that they should is because there is a dearth of bankable PPP projects that are well structured. For you to properly structure a PP project to be bankable, you've got to understand the risk, and you've got to properly allocate the risk. For you to be able to allocate the risk, you've got to do some basic studies to understand the demand and so on and so forth, so that you can properly allocate the risk. Because it is in the risk allocation that you actually get the value, from the PPP project. Unfortunately, because of the pressure on resources, most subnational governments cannot afford to dip their hand in the till to pay for those studies. The good news, which is the recommendation now, is that we can set up a structure that actually enables us to properly structure our PPP projects to be attractive and to be bankable to potential investors by setting up, by considering the setup of a project development or project preparation fund or facility. Okay, I don't know if I have the time to go into it now, but I think I can stop there and then come back to talk about how it can work potentially.
Hold your thoughts. You have already dropped a few that we can run with, but I'm going to come back to you to continue from where you stopped. And then, very importantly, let's try to navigate the complex delivery of PPPs through certain infrastructure assets. Let's know which ones are low-hanging fruits that the state can begin to test on. But I like the point you made about a PPP law. That's spot on. When you said it, I looked out for the speaker, but I think I didn't see him. He's not here anymore. I also like the point you made about bankable projects, and I will add gazetting them so that subsequent governments can continue from there. But we'll come back to that. Sorry, I'm an infrastructure man, so we can have this continue going on. But you made something very difficult for Sarah too. I had said to her earlier on that I was going to introduce her as the person occupying the most difficult job in Nigeria right now. Because when you go out there to seek foreign investment into Nigeria, sometimes I wonder what they tell you when they look at the way things are going. But we'll talk about that later. However, the governor is an investment banker, so he hit the ground running as soon as he took office to put in place some investment promotion deliverables, improved on the business environment. And I know that the state has a very good relationship with NIPC and PEBEC. So they are right on track. However, no matter what they do, they are operating within a national investment climate, right? So what I really will want to hear from you is this. Is there an investment superhighway that can land in Ebonyi? I say in Edo. Sorry, I'm from Ebonyi State. That can land in Edo in spite of the national investment climate that I'm sure you know what it looks like. How can Edo State insulate itself and sustain investments coming into the state now that we know that the environment is very investor friendly? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. We can hear you.
Thank you very much. Before I proceed, I would like to seek the crave the kind indulgence of the executive governor and the deputy governor to say good afternoon to all distinguished participants present here today. Yes, you did ask me a very tough question, and I would like to answer it the best way I can. The superhighway for Edo to take advantage of exists in the sense that it all depends on the risk appetite of the particular investor. So from what I've seen today, I think the governor has done an excellent job, and I'm really, really happy to see what I've seen. And I know that when I go out marketing Nigeria to the world, I can proudly say that I have a role model state to tell the world. That said, yes, it's not easy really to operate within a national ecosystem that is challenged, but it does not mean that it's not possible to do. Once the bankable projects, sorry, not bankable, once the investable projects that we can showcase to the world, and also with all of the testimonies we've seen here, with everything we've seen the state has done, then it becomes easier for an investor to make up their mind, even within the challenges Nigeria faces as a nation. But we also, from experience and from what is the reality, investors are still coming to Nigeria, because it's not all of them that are scared of coming to this part of the world. There are even countries that have much more challenges than we do, and they have investors. And of course, it's not every part of Nigeria that is challenged, and we try to, as much as possible, tell that to the world. And we also say to them that if they are waiting for when everything is quick, clean, and perfect, then at that point, there will not be investment opportunities to take advantage of. Because, of course, like some of us are economists here, we've been taught that the higher the risks, the higher the returns. So it's at this point, a very wise investor would actually put his feet into a country that is challenged, but it does not mean that efforts are not being made to surmount the challenges. So, of course, when we go out marketing, we'll go with states like Edo and the rest, others that have done so much to actually address the climate within their states. Because the investments we market are not in Abuja. They're in one state or the other. So I'm sure His Excellency would maybe during Governor's Forum would be one of those his peers would look up to actually give them the blueprint he has actually implemented here to make Edo State what it is. But what I would like to also encourage, because it passed through my mind, is that, okay, when His Excellency is done in 2 years, how do you sustain what he has achieved? I hope, His Excellency, you have a plan to sustain what you've been able to achieve so far. And part of it could be through legislation, some of the policies, because one of the key things investors are worried about is policy somersaults. So each governor seems to come on board and try to show he's different or reinvent the wheel and so on and so forth. But if we do have policies that can actually sustain some of the things that have been put in place, then I think it makes it easier. Also is to look at areas of risk mitigation, because as an agency, as a national IPA, we're entering agreements with MIGA and other risk mitigation agencies like the ICEC of ISDB and a host of them to mitigate some of the risks that investors have concerning investing in Nigeria. And I'm sure once we do that, that superhighway would be there. Thank you.
So it's good to hear that that superhighway can land your $120 trillion that you talked about out there. So we can land it in Edo. I'm going to go to you, Collins, but I just want to say after this, we'll take questions from the audience. So the ushers, please get ready. Collins, you heard Uki when he started. He mentioned technology as one of their areas of focus. I mean, I don't need to tell you that the 21st century is defined by technology right now, and you find it in all spheres of life. And you heard the governor's presentation talk about a tech pack. This government has been very bullish and audacious in the area of technology. So, in terms of the pillars of competitiveness, technological readiness, the Edo State is ready.
Yes.
But this discussion around technology adoption, to what extent can and do companies operating in Edo, are they able to adopt these technologies in their operations and processes once they are doing business here? Because it's one thing to set up a tech park and have the facility. It's another thing for businesses and companies, which is our focus for this plenary, to adopt them in their operations and business because they are next door.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, I'm happy with what I've had. When she talked about technology. When he talked about tax and technology, using technology to collect tax. And when His Excellency was talking, he was talking about the fact that he wanted his people to be paperless so that they can work without papers. I mean, these are all ways of adopting technology for a state. So it's very good. I think Edo State is much faster in adopting technology than most states in Nigeria. I know because I was involved in it a bit in the past. But when you talk about, if a company comes to Edo State to invest today, one of the things it has to contend with is how it relates to government. The other thing it has to contend with is how the people it employs are able to live with technology. And more, as much as government is investing in technology today, if you're a worker in Edo State today, you will only come face to face with that technology when you're dealing with government. But in your daily life, you want an Uber, you want to hail an Uber, you want to hail a Bolt, you want to shop, you are faced with using technology to live your daily life. So how does Edo State make sure that anybody who works here, a high-skilled person who wants to work in the power plant, for instance, is able to work, do his whole life, like maybe somebody in Lagos or somebody in London? And I think that's the area that we have to face, because more and more technology is moving from the enterprise, which is like government, to the consumer space, which is like any average individual. If, for instance, we're doing, so while we're here right now, I have YouTube on my phone, and I'm watching this panel speaking, okay? If we were to do this in Agenebode today, is that possible? If we were to do it in a remote village, are the people in the villages in Edo State today able to, for instance, go to YouTube and access the content by accessing all here? And that is how to look at, if you are going to build a factory in Edo State and you want to recruit high-skilled talents into Edo State, how will those people live their daily life using technology? I think that's one of the things we're going to talk about. Because more and more, technology has become very global, the way people live their lives. And I would not want to come here, I'm in Benin, for instance, and I can access the internet. And I go to the remote village, I cannot access the internet. That means all the infrastructure government is putting to make sure they move their services online, those people will not be able to consume it. So I think in terms of competitiveness, I want to look at it in terms of the average person in Edo State being able to consume technology, whatever it is in the state.
Okay, you wanted to respond or say something?
Thank you very much. With regards to what you said, sir, because, so one thing, when you talk about, like, when you have highly skilled talent to bring, you don't need to bring them first. So the highly skilled talent are here.
They're already
Now,
here.
yes, especially when you talk about technology.
Yeah.
So, like for example, we have at Edo Innovation Hub, we have young people who are constantly being trained on the hard skills, that's hardware, cloud computing, coding, whatever, different skills across tech, the key pathways in tech. We are consistently producing talent. And the question for us was, how do we make sure that the talent remains here? Because it became a feeding frenzy. Organizations coming here and taking them away, which is okay because we are trying to create jobs.
Thank you very much. We are recruiting some of our people, but they're coming to Lagos to work, which is not very good for you.
So you can testify. So the where it meets is, number one, the skill talent, and you mentioned number two, the infrastructure. So like if you saw in His Excellency presentation, where the state government is supporting private sector to lay 1,200 kilometers of fiber and making sure it's going outside Benin to Edo Central, to Edo North, and then access to devices. So where we come in that area is, for example, with our innovation hubs. So we have the main one in Benin, but we also have other locations across the state. For example, at all our job centers, which we already have 5 rural job centers, there are ICT centers, so young people have access to devices to learn the skills, get the certifications, and still deliver if they have to work remotely. And then we're also in collaboration with the higher institutions. So we're in collaboration with Edo University and Edo Polytechnic in Use to train the young people on key tech skills. And these collaborations are with organizations like Udacity, with Amazon Web Services, so you're not worried about the quality of talent you're getting. I just wanted to say that skills...
No, I'm happy with... I'm happy just
no,
for...
let me sell my talent in Edo State.
I'm totally happy with you. But the thing is that, when you talk about competitiveness, who are you competing with?
Yeah.
Are you competing with Delta State, for instance? You might not be. You might not decide to compete. You are in competition with the whole world.
Exactly.
Okay? I lose a lot of staff today, and they are going to Australia, they're going to Canada. And when I lose them, I'll possibly come to Edo and they recruit, because maybe where I am is better than Edo. So you need to be sure that your environment, if you put all these investments here, you might decide to export talent, for instance, as your target. But if you want to keep them here for the person who is building a power plant, you have to make sure that when those people come here, they can live, they can have the same kind of access they have, whatever they are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll come back to the panel. I like this, and I'm sure the audience also is enjoying this. But it's a conversation. And so I'm going to allow the audience now, if you have questions, just raise your hand. And when I recognize you, just mention your name, the panelists to whom you want to ask the question. If you don't have any, I will allocate. And then a very, very, very brief question, because we are running out of time for the next panel. So I have Madam here. I have here with the red tie. So give to Madam first, then there. So we have one at the back. So we'll take these 3, and then we'll see how it goes from there. So, yes, Madam, please. Name, if it's to a particular panelist, you mention it, and then to the question. But please, very brief. Go ahead.
My name?
Sorry, please. Can we all try to be quiet, please? It's important that we listen to this conversation. Madam, please go ahead.
My name is Mrs. Ulo Uzamiri. I am a lawyer. My question is not for the panelists. My question takes us a way to the man, Mr. Igehon, or Dr. Igehon, who was talking about electricity supply. I just wanted to know when it will be possible for individual homes in Edo State to access the kind of electricity supply that Osyomo is producing. For example, I live on First Ugbo Road, and we try to pride ourselves that we are in GRA, but our electricity supply is comatose, not even epileptic.
Okay,
So
I get your question.
is
So you
that
want
coming?
to know when Osioma Power can power your house, right?
Yes,
Good.
where we can access that
can-
kind of power.
That's fine. I get the question. Yes, please.
My name is Jefferson Wogre. I'm a lawyer. I'm privileged to respond to some of the questions. To ask this question here. I heard my sister talked about opportunities in creating jobs for younger persons in the state. And I have a little question with due respect. Let me situate the question first before going further. Before now, we were seen as deeply civil service and agrarian economy with minimal interest in investment here. But the SMEs is employing over 80% of our people. And when I say SMEs, I mean those small and medium-scale companies that are into things that we ordinarily just look aside. And that includes those artisans producing the little things we market here, from the furniture industry, from the tailoring industry, from the barbing industry. And in spite of this number, the investment climate here seems to be more into the big companies, and those smaller industry, the cottage industry, are unable to tap into the benefit. We have areas of comparative advantage. In Edo State, we produce nice wood and furniture. And then in making this summit more appealing and affordable to a lot of our younger persons, what can we get from my sister in ensuring that not all those persons who are educated can access the benefit of a summit of this nature?
All right, I get your question, so I'm sure you understand that too. So the last one at the back, yes. Please.
Thank you very much. My name is Blessing Ajimoti, and I am the state coordinator and policy advisor for GIZ SEDIN in Edo State. So part of the work that we do at GIZ SEDIN is to support MSMEs, just general private sector development. And as a policy advisor, I look at the policy issues there and business enabling environment issues there. That's the focus of my work. And in my experience engaging with the MDAs in Edo State and also with the private sector, I think that to a significant extent, Edo State is introducing a lot of reforms that businesses, investors, MSMEs alike can access. I think a bit of the challenge that still exists is to do with the communication of these opportunities or these reforms to the private sector. And how did I learn about it? It's just from all of the research we've been doing and also the public-private dialogues that we've been supporting the stakeholders to do. I think that if a lot more communication or information is pushed out to the private sector, businesses and investors alike would be able to access these opportunities. And one of the ways of doing so was a point by the gentleman who gave the opening remarks, is to have formal and informal, but then very regular forums or platforms for engagement between the government and also the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your comment is very well noted, but I just want to say that to a very large extent, I think the state government has done a very good job of communicating to the private sector. I know that there was a business dinner held about 2 weeks ago where the governor pitched to the private sector. But even more importantly, this annual summit that not only is a convening, has created Alagodaro Limited by Guarantee as an enduring platform for the private sector and the public sector to interact. I think that the private sector should step up and be part of Alagodaro Limited by Guarantee and the summit. So, but your point is very well noted, and I think you've heard what I said too. The question, Uki, I would like you to take yours first while I prepare him to answer his from there. So, Uki, go ahead, please. Someone please bring the microphone to the keynote speaker just to give us a 2-minute response to the question she asked. But Uki, skills for artisans. You've talked about coding and all that stuff. You're saying, what about our artisans?
Thank you very much. Okay, so yes, I think that what Blessing said will also help me with this. It's probably maybe communication, because we've implemented and we continue to implement critical projects to support small-scale businesses. Like you said, small-scale businesses employ 70% of the people in the state, and we are focused on job creation. So just some of the initiatives, for example, when we implemented we are in the process of implementing the Edo Cares project under the supervision of the SDG office. And for that project, it's targeted at small-scale businesses, and we have over 12,000 businesses that are gaining access to money, gaining access to tech. So things like they want to buy laptops, getting access to, oh, I need a solar panel for my business, and that's just one example. There are also lots of upskilling programs for artisans. So artisans, if for example, you've ever been to Edo Production Center, we have artisans working there. Oba Power is providing them with 24 hours power supply. They're producing all kinds of things you can imagine, from furniture, shoes, even hair, whatever it is. So the state government is really focused on supporting small businesses. We recently launched the Edo Future 500 community for small and micro-scale businesses, supporting them to grow from one stage to the next. So that means if I'm micro, how do I become small? If I'm small, how do I project and become medium and keep on growing? So it's a constant and continuous process.
Thank you very much, Uki. I know you can keep talking about this on and on and on and on.
You know.
So please, 2 minutes to just respond to her question. She wants Oba Power in her home.
Hello? Okay, thank you. So it's a very short response to that question. We have more than sufficient for most parts of Benin, but obviously we have to go with the regulatory.
Sorry, we can't hear. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so what I said is that we have more than sufficient power to go around most of Benin, and including the Ugbo area. But the critical thing is that we have to follow the regulatory parameters. And with the new bill that the state government is in the process of concluding, it will make it very, very easy. So just be a little bit patient. We'll get there soon, okay?
Unfortunately, we are prisoners of our own time, and so we can't take more questions so that we can round up this panel and invite the next panel. But before we do that, I had follow-up questions for each one of you, but what I'm going to do is we'll still have them and then make sure that we give their responses to the Alagodaro team to still go into, because we have follow-up for each one of you. However, you now have your opportunity to, for 2 minutes closing remarks, that thing you wanted to say, I didn't ask, that you know will be useful in a dialogue like this, you have 2 minutes to do that. And I'm going to start again with you, Uki.
Thank you very much. I think 2 very important things I have to say in a room like this is, number one, there's talent in Edo State, well-trained, and we are very welcoming to private sector who want to employ. Whatever talent that you want to employ today or in the future, we are prepared to work with you to get them to you and deliver them to you. Number 2 is that for all the young people who are watching or who will get this or who you interact with, please help us at the Edo State Skills Development Agency to let them know that there are opportunities for them to grow, to positively express themselves, and to get dignified work. Thank you.
And that includes me. I'm going to come and register. Dimeji.
Very quickly, I was trying to describe the project development facility. The good news there is that the state does not have to fund it 100%. You only need to seed it. Fortunately, Mr. Governor is already known as a champion of transparency and accountability. The state is well positioned to attract funding into this from multilateral development banks and the rest of them. They're actually looking for things like that. Once you set it up with the right corporate governance, they will actually bring in the money that would enable you to develop and properly structure, your project. And then finally, I'm going to just wax, spiritual, to say that sitting here, it is clear to me that Edo State, is actually blessed with so much. And you should just go out there and realize that tremendous potential. All the best.
Thank you very much. Saratu, I'll still come back to you for $120 trillion, but your closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, as we all know, is mandated to encourage, promote, and coordinate investments in the Nigerian economy. So, in doing that, we work with Edo State and we would enhance it even more. When we do our aftercare and facilitation and assistance to investors, it's not just for Abuja, it's for the entire country, including Edo State. So we're strengthening all of that, and of course, going to work with the state to ensure there's a seamless synergy for giving aftercare services to investors across board. We do have the One-Stop Investment Center, if you've been to NIPC, which we're deepening more to ensure that we give all towards giving investors seamless assistance. And also, we're working on what we call the Investment Promotion Coordination Framework, where we're going to coordinate, have more synergy with IPAs, different states, to look at the different problems investors are having and whatever challenges they also have as a state, to profile solutions in resolving them holistically. Also working on the National Investment Promotion Master Plan for the country that feeds into different sectors of the Nigerian economy. Along also the various value chains, the different products we have, be it solid mineral, agriculture, and the rest of them. So keying all of that into investment opportunities, we're going to be working very closely with Edo State to find out the different products it does have as a competitive advantage. So, like I said, the superhighway is possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John, the taxman.
Once again, thank you very much. I want to encourage investors to make Edo their destination for investment. We are tax friendly. We are very, very understanding. We support business to grow. Listening to the governor's presentation, it is very clear. The opportunity to do your business at lower cost, conducive environment, support of government is available in Edo. We are business friendly, and your business coming into Edo is what we need. That would even grow the IGR we're talking about. We are always there for you. When you have issues with your taxes, please write to us. Send us an email. We'll respond. We'll clarify to you, such that whatever is a source of doubt to you, we'll clarify with you, and then you can do your business. Edo is welcoming. Edo wants you. And for my friend who was wanting to pull out people out of here, please, we want them here. We want to develop our state, because the more you move people out, the more have less people that will pay taxes. We will train them. We'll supply you the manpower. We want you to site your businesses here. And you will do well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Collins, you have to end with a commitment to stop taking them to Lagos.
What do I tell the people from America who are recruiting my people? Anyway, the few things, look, I like the ambition of Edo State, right? But one of the ambitions I would like you to pursue is ambition around broadband penetration. I don't know where you are in that, but more and more, I think competitiveness will be based on how broadband penetrates a state. Because And broadband is provided solely by public institutions like MTN and Co. So more and more it is provided by MTN and the rest of this world. If you measure your own and it's not up to say 60%, it means that 40% of your population do not have access to broadband. What it means is that if I live in Lagos and I'm from Edo State and I come home on a weekend, I can't work. Maybe if I go to my village, I will not be able to work because there's no internet access for banking, for shopping, for the kind of life I'm used to. I think states should make sure going forward that they allow people to work anywhere they are in their state, and their citizens, when they come back, have access to internet. Look, my state is Imo State. Sometimes it's so frustrating that I come to where I can use internet, I go to my village, I cannot use internet. So if I want to bank, I come to where to just access the internet, and then bank, and then I go back to my village. I don't think that kind of world works again because the things you are building today, the people there, what kind of life do they want to live? The investors you want to bring to Edo, where would they get the highest skilled talent to work in those factories or those companies if the basic thing of the only time they get access to internet, for instance, is when they're in the office and not when they're at home. So you have to see technology as a thing that allows you to live a decent life for your own personal life and your work life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for our panelists. I'm supposed to do a wrap-up, but we don't have time for that. But I just want to say that two key outcomes jump out for me from this conversation. One to the government and one to the private sector. To the government, from all that we've heard, we need to put together a competitiveness toolkit for the state government. What needs to be done across each pillar in order to achieve competitiveness. Now, to the private sector, if you are sitting down there thinking, where am I going to take my next business? Where am I going to scale up my next investment? What you are hearing today is, come to Edo State. It's the best kept secret in Africa. Thank you very much.
We'll have a group photograph with the panelists and moderator for the first plenary, and the chairman of the board and His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, is already doing that. Thank you very much for those very wonderful insights. Thank you very much. Very quickly, we'll dovetail into the second plenary, the last 4-day summit, capitalizing on opportunities. May I respectfully invite the moderator, Ozofu Latunde Ogiemudia. She's a partner in Udo Doman Bello Saige. Can we please welcome her on stage? We also invite the panelists. They include Tayo Amusa, is currently the chairman and managing director of Amusha. Yes. Please, rounds of applause for him. Thank you. He's currently the chairman and managing director of Pesion Nigeria Limited, the largest indigenous commercial retail development company in Nigeria. And also on the panel, we'll invite Omobuyede Olusanya, is the group managing director and chief executive officer, Flour Mills of Nigeria, PLC. We also invite Nkechi Nneka Obi. She's the chief executive officer of Sports Nigeria Limited. Thank you for being here. And two more. Ethan Osazeme Ozamire is the current Commissioner for Mining and Energy Edo State. And Joseph Eboigbe is the Commissioner for Finance, Edo State.
Good afternoon, our distinguished audience, and thank you for sharing this panel with us. In view of the time constraint, I'm going to get right to it. As the compere said, this session is going to be talking on the topic, capitalizing on opportunities, and we're going to focus on some select sectors of investment in Edo State. That includes retail, agribusiness, sports, mining, and what we call new frontiers. I'll just lay the foundation for the panel and I'll get right to the questions for our panelists. The focus of the current administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki since 2016 has been to unlock the investment potential of Edo State. Edo State is a state that has about 4.5 million people, most of whom are youth. Edo State is blessed with numerous natural resources and a great history of culture. While the state already hosts some of the largest corporates in Nigeria, such as Nigerian Bottling Company, Diageo, Osiomo, Azura, Dangote, etc., there's still a lot that can be achieved. The Edo 2050 strategic plan that was launched at last year's summit is a long-term proposed plan for the government in improving the business environment and attracting investment. So what we want to do in this session is to share insights and perspectives on these sectors that I mentioned, the investment potential, what has been achieved, and what lies ahead. So without further ado, I'm going to get to my distinguished panel. I'll start with Mr. Amoshon, who's right beside me. My question to you, now for those who don't know, Mr. Amoshon is a very distinguished real estate developer, a key player in the retail space with malls such as the Palms in Lagos and others. So he's a pioneer in this space. And as some of you might know, he has something coming up in Edo State as well. So my question to you, sir, is Edo State has always been known as a civil service state, even though the current demographic is predominantly young. What was the business case for establishing a world-class retail mall in Benin City?
That's an easy question. About 15, 20 years ago, I developed the Palms in Lagos. The next place that I'd wanted to put a shopping center was in Edo State. You know, I tried in numerous times, you know, even before, unfortunately, His Excellency is not here. Even before he came here, before he became governor, you know, we came together and I said, look, I really have to be in Edo State. There's something about Edo State to me that is one of the most cosmopolitan states in the country. You know, but it was very impossible to come at that particular time. We tried all what we could. We couldn't get access to the state. So when he became governor, it was the first thing I said, because we went to states like Enugu State, Oyo State, Kwara State, and to put up a shopping center. And it was easy for me to say, okay, those states are nothing near to Edo State. And I'll give you an example why I said those states are nothing near. The first...
this is a panel post-law.
Our states. On that note, I have the singular pleasure.
Information today. There are a lot of state funds gathering information today.
Deal largely with informal sector.
Cash flows become predictable. I can borrow. And then I can...
As they return to their seats, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, we have just one more item to go before we call it a day. Allow me welcome up stage to answer a few questions. What is the residency, the Edo Smart Residency Card? What is it? Why do we need it? Who needs it? What will we achieve with it? And what are the next steps? Answering these questions and more is the Special Advisor to His Excellency the Governor on Strategy, Policy, Project and Performance Management, Mrs. Sarah Ajose Adiogun. Please receive her warmly. This is the launch of the Edo State Government Smart Residency Identity Card, and I'm sure she'll answer a few questions. Let me bring this.
Your Excellencies, the Governor, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Your Excellency, the First Lady of Edo State, let me stand on all existing protocols that have hitherto been established. Today we are unveiling the Edo State Citizens Residency Card. We've all been here today and we've heard about all the wonderful things we are trying to achieve in Edo. None of that would be possible if we do not have data with which to plan. To show that we are a forward-looking government and we are insistent on meeting our objectives in making Edo great again, we are in the process of registering all Edo State citizens. And this will give us the data to enable us plan effectively for the future that we want. A lot of businesses are coming in. A lot of development is taking place. How do we position ourselves and our people to take advantage of those opportunities? That is why we are gathering information today. There are a lot of state-funded projects, state-funded investments where we need our people to be able to take advantage of it. And we know that as we grow and expand as a state, as all of these laudable and wonderful ideas begin to crystallize, we are going to have an influx of people in Edo State. And when that happens, how do we identify our people? So the Edo State Residency Card enables us to do so. And the registration has already started. It's going around the 18 local governments. In each local government council, there is a desk to register our people so that we know you and you know us. Social investment progress. We have the Edo State Health Insurance Scheme. We want to be able to reach the poorest of the poor. And this afternoon, to enable us launch this, I want to invite the chairman of the Citizens Residency Card Project, our digital head of service, to give the first card today as we launch the card to His Excellency, the Governor.
Yes, sir. May I humbly invite His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, to the stage, very humbly, sir, to receive the first card. Well, my bit this... Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm coming. Well, first of all, my bit this afternoon, thank you, Your Excellency, is just to present this card to His Excellency, the very first card of this project to the first citizen of Edo State, Mr. Governor, the best governor in Nigeria. But before I do that, let me just crave your indulgence. Yes, sir. Let me just crave your indulgence to say that the residency card project is one of the several innovative projects of the governor that have changed the face of governance in Edo State. You know, on a jocular note, one day I was thinking, where does the governor get his ideas from? Because there are so many. They are changing the face of governance in the state. And a word dropped into my ears. Flesh and blood did not reveal the ideas to the governor. The Holy Ghost did. So on that note, I'd like to hand over to you, sir, the very first card of this project. It is our prayer that God in His infinite mercy will prosper this project so that it can achieve the objectives that you set out for it. Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today, before you, we are launching the Edo State Residency Card. Today, we are about 5 million, we estimate that we have about 5 million people who live and reside in our state, but we don't know them. The purpose of this card, which has been designed in partnership with some of our financial partners, is to make sure that before I leave office, we issue a minimum of 1 million of these cards to our citizens. The cards will come in different forms. Some will have an electronic purse, so people can use them for their financial transactions. And some would be for students. The policy is that you may not be able to interact with government services in Edo if you do not have the residency card. No child will be accepted in our schools if we don't know their parents. They all have to be registered as citizens, as residents. This residency card is linked to the your national identity card under the NIMSI scheme. So we're using the same algorithms as NIMSI to issue these cards, so that we have one single form of identity, just like in most countries. I want to implore all citizens of Edo to go out there and register themselves so that they can be issued with this card. You may not have the need for the card physically, but you must have your identity number so that we know you, and in every document, in every interaction with us, that number will be quoted. You cannot get land in Edo, you cannot register your building approvals, you cannot interact with government, you cannot get health insurance if we don't know you and we don't know where you live in our states. On that note, I have the singular pleasure to now formally launch the Edo State Residency Card.
Thank you very much. For all those who have their NIN numbers, you can actually register for this online. Just go to the Edo State government website and you will see the link to register. Once you put in your NIN and your numbers, it will generate your residency identification number, which is what we all really need. Thank you very much. Okay. For all those who do not have online access, you can register in the local government offices. In the 18 local government offices across the state, you can register. Also, for the next 6 weeks, we will be going around in different schools. We will be announcing it on radio as we register in different schools. So if you listen to the radio, you can come to any of the schools Currently, we are in Iwiore Primary School in Edo State, Ebenezer Primary School in Edo State. Please, if you do not have access to internet, you can register in your local government offices. Thank you very much.
You can see that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Making Edo great again is a collective responsibility. Our governor is amiable deputy. They are all thinking outside the box. Can we put our hands together again for such a winning team? With this, we come to the end of the Edo Summit. Edo's transformation, partnership, resilience, and impact. May I respectfully invite, for the vote of thanks, the most loyal deputy governor, the digital deputy governor of Edo State, the sports-loving deputy governor of Edo State, His Excellency, the Right Honorable Comrade, Philip Shaibu. Can we make the applause a little louder?
Your Excellency, my senior brother and boss, the governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the vacancy governor of Edo State. Your Excellency, my sister and partner in the management of female football in Nigeria and the world, this is Betsy Obaseki, my own sweetheart, my own pillar, the lady that God has given me, that is giving me all the support that I need, and is giving me peace. The mother of my children, Mrs. Miriam Philip Shaibu. My brother, the chairman of Allah Odaro, I know what you are looking at. I'm sure you have seen it. Asra Godaro and Chairman Sterling Bank, the man that has helped us in also reposition better insurance. We have increased our sponsorship this year, but we still have to talk. The money is not enough. We need more. I'll hold him. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, Right Honorable Tony Azebeni, and my former chairman, digital chairman of APC and co-chairman PDP, Aslem Ujezua. My former colleague in House of Representatives, Right Honorable Sergio Sogun. We were colleagues in the House of Representatives, a very progressive man. The representative, all the Eniges that are here, all government officials that are here, I greet all of you. Mine is just to say thank you on behalf of my senior brother, the visionary leader, and the governor of Edo State, and government and good people of Edo State. I want to say to all of us that have honored our invitation to just say thank you and God bless you all.
I think the applause can be a little more resounding for such a sound mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've had a very wonderful day. Looking forward to Alagodao 2023. And so the closing formality is next. The national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is now. Beautiful Edo, you raise your hand like this. Edo anthem. Technical Department, Edo anthem. Are you expecting us to sing along? Okay, so start again. We cannot sing along. I trust this audience. Smart people. One, two, go.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the land. The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers of labor, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be.
This is the land people dream to be. Rounds of applause for yourself and have a wonderful afternoon. It is important to note that the Edo Residency Smart Card is free of charge. The card is free of charge. It's important to note that. So Joyce, what's the assessment in the Edo Summit 2022?